On the news, end bad governance in Nigeria, protest begins nationwide. Kano State and Yobe State governments declare 24 hours curfew due to protest. And Borno State imposes 24-hour curfew after bomb attack across Kwahuri Market. Glad to have you join us on the news on TV 360 Nigeria. I'm Tamilore Akinkunle. Now, despite a court order restricting the End Bad Governance protest in Lagos to specific venues, demonstrators still held street procession throughout the city on August 1st, 2024. Residents in large numbers converged at Ikeja to register their displeasure with the administration of President Tinubu as a result of the current economic hardship faced across the country. Our correspondent Sydney Okafor completes the story.
At exactly 8 a.m., hundreds of residents, mostly youths, gathered at Ikeja to kick off the first day of the much-anticipated #EndBadGovernance hunger protest slated to hold for 10 days. Despite numerous calls by Nigerian government and other stakeholders for the protest to halt, protesters turned out in large numbers with branded placards to express their displeasure with the recent economic hardships. There was also a heavy presence of security operatives to maintain law and order. Speaking to journalists, the protesters say, contrary to previous insinuations, they are not faceless. They appeal to the Nigerian government to end the suffering of citizens by reversing what they called anti-people policies.
The cause of this protest is the fact that our leaders have let us down. The cause of this protest is that Nigerians are hungry and they are angry. We are hungry and we are angry. Our common resources have been wasted by those who put in authority. And so, Nigerians have taken the fate in their own hands. And we're saying enough is enough. They say we are faceless, but we're not faceless. These are our faces. We were with them. We were with them in the past. We were with them. Ashwaju was a lead protester. Ashwaju was #1 protester in this country. Maybe you don't know. When he said Emiloko is a language of protest. Yes. It's a language of give it to me. It's my turn. It's a language of protest. So the #1 protester should not be against protesters.
It's high time we all come together and save this country. We put some people there. We voted for them for better living. Are we seeing that better living? That we are suffering. It's not that we are exaggerating. You can go to market and see what I'm talking about. Are you getting me? Okay, they have approved 70,000 minimum wage. When that minimum wage was about 18,000 in 2015, a bag of rice was about 6,500 naira. Then you are paying 70,000 now. Then that bag of rice is about 85,000. What are we talking about? You see, things are very hard. People are really suffering. If you are living by your means, you will not survive in this country. People are cutting corners. Only anybody you see that is enjoying in this country is cutting.
The Nigerians are out. They are here to protest against hunger, against bad governance. And with what we have here is encouraging. And you can see that they are very peaceful. Everybody is protesting peacefully. And from the feedback we're getting from other places, it's also very peaceful. And this is a testament to the fact that protests in Nigeria has always been very peaceful if the government do not bring in their talks. So it has always been very peaceful. You can see what you have here. These are responsible people that want a better nation.
The protesters defy orders by the Lagos High Court restricting them to specific venues and marched through Ikeja to Ojota, singing solidarity songs and drawing the attention of the government to citizens' struggles.
If we don't want to be hypocritical, if we don't want to be cowards, we know what is going on in this country. We know we have never had insecurity this bad in this country. We have never had hardship this bad in this country. We have never had politicians speak to Nigeria in a condescending manner, maltreat Nigeria, talk to us as if we're naughty. We have a vice president calling Nigerians idiots. We have a vice president, a senate president that is supposed to look at and take care of and be our representative in the legislature, telling Nigerians that let the people that want to go and protest him that is enjoying the Asiwaju regime will be at home and eat. That's ridiculous. That man is supposed to be the one taking and they're supposed to be the eye of Nigerians in the legislature, but rather you have these guys talking as if we mean nothing to them. They share money, buy themselves SUV, sharing 400 million because they are going for recess. It's ridiculous.
What is happening in the country is very disheartening, and this is not what the government promised during the election. And we can see how the whole thing is going and where it's going to, where it's heading to. It's just so bad. Look at the cost of foods now. Tell me, how can you afford a 3 square meal? It is not possible. And an hungry man is an angry man. So for how long are we going to stay caged and endure this hardship?
Reacting to various appeals made by the government to have the protests shelved, experts acknowledge the right of citizens to express their grievances. Earlier, the Lagos State Commissioner of Police, Adegoke Fayoade, had vowed to resist violence of hijackers.
I'm giving you 100% assurance that we are here to protect you. We are here to protect you from hoodlum attempting to snatch this protest. You have the right to protest, but we will not allow hoodlum to infiltrate and turn the protest to violence. So you can be rest assured 100%. Nobody will be molested. Nobody will be attacked. We will provide adequate, qualitative security for you. And that's why we are all here.
Meanwhile, the Lagos State government, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, has said the state will not allow a repeat of events of the 2020 NSAS protest. Sanwo-Olu has urged organizers of the #EndBadGovernance protest to exercise patience and allow President Bola Tinubu's economic recovery policies to yield results. Sydney Okafor, TV360, Lagos.
Now let's get a situation report from our Lagos correspondent Chidi Igwe, who was at the protest ground.
It's exactly 4 p.m. at the Ganifa Army Park in Ojota axis of Lagos State, and as you can see behind me, protesters are leaving to resume the protest by 7 a.m. tomorrow. It's been an eventful day with the protesters laying out their grievances, and the police has done a fantastic job by keeping law and order. There has been no sort of problems. Everything went very well, although initially there were slight problems with anti-protesters coming on ground to have their voices heard to, and we'll thank God that the police were on ground fully well and made sure that everything went fine. So that's all for now. Tomorrow we'll be here by 7 a.m. to continue the protest. I'm Chidi Igwe reporting for TV360 Lagos, Nigeria.
Meanwhile, police in Nigeria's capital city, Abuja, fired tear gas to dispel crowds of protesters on Thursday as thousands joined other states in the End Bad Governance protest against the cost of living crisis in the country. The anti-hunger protest, which started peacefully on Thursday morning, assumed a more violent dimension following the involvement of more protesters in the demonstration and their refusal to hold confined demonstrations. Now, TV360's Folashade Olusegun files in this report from Abuja.
Trouble began when protesters refused the police directive to stage a confined demonstration at the Moshood Abiola Stadium. Justice Savainu's Orji of Federal Capital Territory High Court in Abuja had on Wednesday issued order while delivering a ruling in an ex-parte application brought before him by the Minister of Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike. But the angry demonstrators under aegis of the Take It Back movement were seen marching towards Eagle Square. Insisting on protesting inside the stadium, the Commissioner of Police in FCT warned there will be consequences for disobeying the court order.
We have a court judgment on court order on substituted service, which the barrister Deji Adeyanju is leading them, is aware of. The substituted service said that the order is that they should protest inside the stadium. And we requested that each group that will protest has to come to the police and notify the police. No group has notified the police. We only came here to see some people here, and we said For the fact you have not notified us and they want to protest, follow the court order, which Dejadeyanju, the barrister, is aware. The order said, protest inside the stadium. We are not stopping anybody from protesting, but look at how they are blocking the express road.
No matter how uncomfortable you are with a positive court order, whether it is interim, interlocutory, or perpetual, you must try to comply. The law must see you taking steps to comply. You can see that people but protesters called me as early as 5 a.m. this morning and said they're going to stop the Eagle Square. And I advised them that they should not go there. That they should not go to the Eagle Square, because if they do that, they'll be disobeying the court order. You see, because we're in the stadium, we are within the ambit of the law, complying with the positive order of the court, because we're in the vicinity of the National Stadium.
Countering the TP's insistence, legal expert and human rights activist Deji Adeyanju insisted that no court injunction mentioned protest should be held inside the stadium.
We are paying 70,000 naira subsidy. Can you cook a pot of soup for 5,000? How much will you buy fish? How much will you buy wood? How much will you buy gari? And you are pretending as if you don't know the cries of the people. You are looking for sponsors of the protest. There are no sponsors. It's a social media awareness. And if you are looking for the arrowheads, the influencers of the protest, we are here. Come and talk to us. We tell you what to do.
The government has even put it in a different way now. At least they've organized a place where people can come to, meaning they also know that going up and down on the street can cause other things, because there are people with negative mission. Do you understand? So there are people that really wants to let the government know. It's not that they are against the present government, no. But they want the present government to, to fast forward the renewed hope that they have promised.
We are not fighting government. We are just begging you. Help us. Do something. Let there be law in the land. The money you are paying senators and House of Rep, pay police. The one you are paying police, pay House of Rep. Let us fear police so we can gather revenue from everywhere.
While venting their anger, the protesters call on the government to implement policies that will work in favor of the masses. There were also counter-protesters who were opposed to the End Bad Governors protests. The security men on ground formed a formidable barricade to ensure there was no meeting point between two opposing protesting groups to prevent further violence. The counter-protesters argued that the gathering of End Bad Governors protesters along highways, streets and offices is detrimental to the development of FCT. Folashade Olusegun, reporting for TV360 Abuja.
Now, earlier on, I spoke with Folashade Olusegun, our correspondent in Abuja, and I asked her to give a breakdown of the recent happenings in the Federal Capital Territory.
Currently, the city center of the Federal Capital Territory is peaceful, as there has been free flow of movement and traffic, but security operatives are stationed everywhere and they have successfully dispersed protesters. But in some suburban areas like Kubwa, Lugbe and Yanya axis have been reportedly barricaded by these protesters, causing every gridlock and also attacking commuters. Police post in Yanya was also destroyed. Also, 2 journalists were reportedly arrested, but one was later released through several interventions, but still remained one in the custody. So far, the city center is peaceful and calm. Normalcy has been restored. But some of the suburban area, according to reports we've heard, it's still being, the protesters are still on with their demonstrations.
All right, now with observations today, is there any likelihood that the protests will continue tomorrow, which is supposed to be a day 2?
Okay, some of the organizers we spoke to earlier insisted that the protest continues and it's going to last for 10 days. They continue to say #EndBadGovernance, and it's going to be 10 days of rage until the president attends to their request. So some also said tomorrow is going to be like it's going to be more serious than today. That they were even telling the security operatives to get ready for more rage tomorrow.
That was our correspondent from Abuja giving us a situation report on the End Bad Governance protests. Now let's move to Kano State, where the protests turned violent with reports of looting and vandalism across the city. What began as a demonstration against economic difficulties quickly devolved into chaos as groups of hoodlums took advantage of the situation, ransacking shops and offices. Now, among the targets was the newly constructed Nigeria Communications Commission NCC Industrial Park, where looters were seen taking valuables, including chairs, computers, and other equipment. The Information and Communication Technology ICT Center, scheduled for commissioning next week, was also raided and set ablaze. Now, youths were spotted removing desktop computers, chairs, keyboards, and other appliances from the premises. Reacting to the incident, Bosu Tijani, the Minister of Communication and Digital Economy, has expressed concerns over the incident, describing it as a setback for the nation's technological workforce and job creation efforts. Meanwhile, Governor Abba Yusuf has declared a 24-hour curfew in the state with immediate effect. It's also a similar situation in Niger State, where the protests turned violent as police and protesters clashed. The unrest began when around 1,000 protesters gathered to demonstrate, prompting police intervention to disperse the crowd. Eyewitnesses reported that the situation escalated quickly as the police fired tear gas to break up the protest. Some protesters responded in kind, using their own tear gas canisters. Now, in the ensuing chaos, the confrontation resulted in damage to property, including the death of some of the protesters. Now, in Jalingo, in an unusual demonstration, children aged between 8 to 13 led the protest. The young protesters chanted Bemo I, which means we don't agree, aimed to draw attention to the challenges they face. The protest started on the popular Amaruwa Way and continued towards the flyover bridge in the state. Now, despite the young age of the participants, the demonstration remained peaceful with a strong message resonating through the children. According to reports, the protest was closely monitored by personnel from the police and the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps, NSCDC. Now, in Gombe, violent protesters pelted stones at the Gombe State Government House and caused havoc in the Jakadafari area of the Gombe local government area. The arrest follows an earlier meeting between Governor Muhammadu Yahya and key stakeholders, where assurances were given that there would be no participation in the nationwide protest. Governor Yahya had urged those interested in protesting to register with the Commissioner of Police in line with an order from the Inspector General of the Police. Now, despite this, loud crowds gathered at the government house gates and joined the national outcry against hunger and poor governance. Now, after violent protests in some part of Yobe State, the government has imposed a 24-hour curfew in Poshtikum, Gashua, and Nuguru town, where some hoodlums are taking advantage of the protests to vandalize and loot government and private properties. The special advisor to the governor, Maimala Birni, on security matters, Brigadier General Dere Abdusalam, urged the general public to abide by the curfew order and stay at home for peace to reign in the affected areas and the state at large. According to him, the security agencies have been directed to ensure enforcement in full compliance with the curfew order. The curfew comes following earlier reports that 7 mass transit buses were burnt in Poshtikum. The buses were set ablaze on the premises of the local government secretariat. Meanwhile, in a peaceful rally organized by the Defend Nigeria Movement DNM at the Lagos State House of Assembly, concerned citizens gathered to oppose violent protests and promote peace, progress, and development. The movement, led by convener Razak Olokoba, emphasized the need for unity and resilience in overcoming Nigeria's current challenges, including insecurity, economic hardship, and political instability. The DNM called on all citizens, traditional rulers, community leaders, and business owners to protect public property and uphold the law, stressing the violent protests only disrupt the livelihoods of others and hinder national development. The movement also expressed strong support for President Bola Tinubu's administration and Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu's effort in Lagos State.
We are start again. We are proud of who we are. We are indigenous, hardworking, and resilient people. This is time. This cross shall pass, just as the slave era, just as the colonial era, just as the era of absolute military dictatorship. The purpose of our gathering today is to lay eloquent testimonials to these assertions. Nigeria is vital in human, mineral, and material resources. than any other country in the world. This is outside our threshold land, vegetation, ocean, river, and climate. We can and shall get it right soon. It is important to know that we are doing what we are doing here is to uphold the inalienable right of all law-abiding citizens to assemble and express themselves within the modicum of the law, a right that does not infringe on other rights of freedom of movement as well as expression. We are teaching citizens how not to disrupt the process of production and right the means of livelihood of others. The naked truth is that we are on top of credible information which expose the promoters of ongoing call for protests from are interested in insurrection to overthrow constitutional democratic governance of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
And pro-government county protesters in their large numbers gathered at the Muhammadu Robadu Square in Yola, Adamawa State capital on Thursday to appreciate President Bola Tinubu for championing local government autonomy and providing sustainable peace in the state. The crowd, which apparently took to the street to counter the much-publicized nationwide End Bad Governance protest, held placards with various inscriptions. However, markets, shops and banks were shut down for fear of possible looting by hoodlums as the nationwide Archie protest also began in the state on Thursday. Meanwhile, the Association of Local Government of Nigeria has cautioned the 774 council chairmen across the country against supporting the hunger protests currently being held simultaneously nationwide. Speaking on the situation during a press conference in Lafia, the president of Algon, Aminu Muzoa Moifata, said the association decided not to support the protest because they believe that the federal government under President Bola Tinubu has great plans for Nigerians. Meanwhile, security expert David Okoro has criticized the recent use of tear gas by law enforcement agents to disperse protesters during the ongoing End Bad Governance protest. According to Okoro, the action was unwarranted as the demonstrators were peaceful and not violating any laws. He said that the deployment of tear gas should always be a last resort when managing large crowds. Okoro urged the Commissioner of Police to prioritize the protection of protesters, maintaining the law enforcement agents should facilitate peaceful demonstrations rather than escalating tensions.
There are conditions that the protest can become violent. One is if the protest is prolonged, and two, if an element of opposition is introduced. For instance, what government used to do in the past is that because there is a protest, they will send their own anti-protest. So you have a situation where you have two groups on conflicting sides. And when they meet, it always leads to to violence. But if it is that these guys are by the roadside and they are chanting their songs, they are abusing Mr. President, they are talking, they are saying whatever they want to say, and they are not forcefully dispersed or disrupted, there's usually no room for violence. But that's, like I said, as it's going peacefully, but if you allow the protest to go on for another 2-3 days, then you are going to find that other elements, whether within Nigeria and outside, will begin to introduce extraneous ideas or forces that could lead to violence. But as long as the protesters are allowed to do their thing peacefully, I don't see any violence erupting at all.
With the ongoing nationwide protests in the country having different results, earlier on I spoke with public affairs analyst Nelson Ekujumi, and I asked him if he thinks the protest will last for 10 days as mentioned by the protesters due to various reports on violence in some of the states.
Well, thank you very much. I'm not a part of I'm not a member of the organizers, so I don't know what they have up their sleeves, but it's common knowledge that they promised Nigerians that they were going to embark on the 10 days of rage, starting from today, the 1st to the 10th. So how long it lasts, I wish them the best of luck. All I'm interested in is that I want them to organize a peaceful protest. I don't want a protest that will degenerate to what we have seen in about 2 or 3 states, where the government there have been forced to declare state of emergency. For example, in Kano State, we saw protesters ransacked and looted the yet-to-be-commissioned NCC Center. And we're also seeing, pockets of looting of private businesses. These were things we warned against, that the right to protest is a fundamental and inalienable right of any citizen. But the right to go and loot, to go and commit arson, to go and kill or maim, like we have witnessed in the past, will amount, to a violation of the laws of the land. And one hopes the security agencies will be vigilant enough to arrest perpetrators of violence so that they are made to face the music.
All right, now, like you just said, some states have declared curfew, that's like Kano and Abuja State. And it's likely that some move will be taken in other states going forward. Now, what do you think the government should do beyond declaring a curfew in states like this?
Well, what the government should do is to protect the protesters and ensure that whoever is found wanting in engaging in protest, whoever does otherwise, is arrested. There's nothing the government should do. We're in a democracy, so the right to peaceful protest is guaranteed under the Constitution. So the government should not restrict anybody from, going on a protest. But what the government should do is to provide the necessary materials that will enable the security agencies to be able to apprehend those who want to take the laws into their land, laws of the land into their hands, in the guise of exercising their fundamental rights. And that is not allowed under the law.
We'll go on a short break here and be back with more stories on the global scene and sports. Thank you. Time for stock market report, and Joy Uche Jem is on standby. Over to you, Joy.
Thank you, Tamilore, and welcome to the Stock Market Report. Now, Nigeria's equities market opened the new month in red as it on Thursday recorded the highest daily decline in the protest week. Now, for the fourth consecutive day, the market decreased by 0.42% at the close of trading session. Leading the laggards, United Capital came out last with an end-of-day price depreciation of 64.35%. That's at 11 Naira 5 kobo, followed by Meteor, which ended the day's trade at 8 Naira. Now, at the end of today's trading session on the Nigerian Stock Exchange, a total of 565 million volumes of shares in 6,821 deals, corresponding to a market value of 8.5 billion naira, were traded. Now, on the global front, the London, Japan, and U.S. stocks slipped around 1% on Thursday, hurt by losses in the financial sector, as the Bank of England cut interest rates from a 16-year high. Now, that's the bad one for the foreign stocks, leaving our select stocks in the bearish territory. Now, switching over to the forex, the naira dipped further to trade at 1,615 naira to a dollar on the black market. The British pound also experienced a dip to trade at 2,018 naira on the black market, while the euros remained unchanged at 1,750 naira on the black market. That's up our business and stock market reports. Back to you, Tammy, for the rest of the news.
Thank you for Joy. Now, on the global scene, in southeastern China, at least 48 people have died due to heavy rains linked to a tropical storm, with 35 others reported missing. The city in Yunnan province experienced a sharp rise in casualties, with at least 30 deaths reported. Additionally, a mudslide caused by the same rain claimed 15 lives in another part of the province. Now, helicopters have been deployed to deliver relief supplies to the severely flooded areas. And finally, on sports, the omission of Favour Ofili from the women's 100-meter event at the 2024 Olympic Games in Paris has marred Nigeria's Olympic campaigns, sparking a blame game between the Athletics Federation of Nigeria and the Nigeria Olympics Committee. Now, Samuel Onikeko, AFN Technical Director, expressed surprise at Ofili's exclusions, while the athlete herself also took to social media on Tuesday to voice her frustration. On Wednesday, Minister of Sport Development John Eno condemned the situation and vowed to hold those responsible accountable. And that wraps up our bulletin on News Now. Many thanks for watching. I'm Tamilore Akinkwole. See you again next time.